Hello everybody, in this series of videos I'm going to walk through how to develop Sparklines, daily average sales analysis, and heat maps. Very useful tools for the business decision maker to understand how to make as well as how to interpret. I say how to make because these are not things that your IT staff will necessarily develop for you. They are ad hoc, which means if you have to make a specific decision that is unannounced or unplanned or not part of your regular weekly activities, you need to know how to fish for yourself, right? That Bible quote, teach a person to fish, they'll be fed for life, kind of thing. So we're going to look at Sparklines here. They're very simple to do. What I have here is I have 6 product categories across 12 months of time. And we need to graphically display this because this is a lot of data. These are a lot of numbers here that, it's hard to consume it, right? I mean, yeah, we've got some nice data ink here. We've got a solid black line there, separating the variable name against the data. I would also argue that this is incorrect in the sense that we have way too many grid lines here. So if we just go ahead and fix that up, that's a little better. So just keep that in mind as well. But put simply, what do these numbers even mean? I mean, it's hard for somebody to see visually 45,000 versus 35,000 versus 41,000. How is that a lot of volatility? Is that a lot of change? Well, who knows? I mean, compared to these other ones here, because look, I've got a dip here of $40,000, and then I've got an increase of 20. Well, you could argue I have the same thing here, but it's much more devastating just by looking at it because T is a lot less dollars in terms of coffee. But how does somebody really know that? So I want you to think again a couple of different things here. One, you are the business person making the decision. Two, you are a business person helping someone make the decision. 3, you're a data scientist trying to put together the best data sets for a business person. Those could be 3 different scenarios, and there's certainly more. But how do we allow the business person to consume the data the best way possible? So Sparklines are a quick way to do this. Okay. So we go to Insert, and you see over here, oftentimes we just look at Sparklines as line charts because in textbooks and in other media, that's the basic way to look at things, especially when we're looking at trends. And that's what we're going to do here, but just so you're aware, you can do column as well. So we're going to do a line chart for a Sparkline, and we click that button, and it wants us to select the data range. So we're just going category by category. Where do we want to put it? Well, Excel decided by default to put it in N4 because that's where we click. Okay, so wherever your active cell is, that is where this location range will be. So you can go and say, I don't like it there. I'm going to click over here in O4. Let's do it. Let's go back to N4, whatever. But it's as simple as that. Now, here's the beauty of Sparklines. You don't have to create a brand new chart. You can literally, because it's called embedded in the cell. So embedded in the cell. Okay. So we can simply drag down just like it's a formula, because it essentially is. Now you won't see a formula in the ribbon up there, but it essentially is a formula. So now, and you can doctor these up too as well. You go to design, you can change the colors, you can put high point, low point, you can put some markers there, whatever you want to do, but at some point you're doing too much. It goes back to that tough data ink stuff, doing too much. Because the point of a Sparkline is simplicity. It's a quick snapshot. Because look at this. I wouldn't have been able to picture this by staring at these lines and these numbers, but we have some completely different scenarios here. We've got an uptick, we've got a downtick in the middle, and then an uptick towards the end. We've got a peak here, and then it gradually increases. We got a lot of volatility here, so ups and downs. And then we've got one that is going downward. It's called a descending triangle. You won't find this stuff in a textbook. Descending triangle. This one is not quite an ascending triangle. This one is also a descending triangle that's emerging. I wouldn't say this is an ascending triangle. This is ascending triangle because you're looking for points here to draw a triangle, and the triangle keeps getting higher and higher. Anyhow, that's just technical stuff. If you want to learn more about that, we can talk about my days of day trading and reading charts and things like that. So, and then there's things called a dead cat bounce. I mean, this is a descending triangle, but it also looks like a dead cat bounce. What I mean by that is right in the middle here, you see this peak right here. Like after a down period, like, oh, it's going up. It's going to be an ascending triangle. Nope, it's called a dead cat bounce. And we call it a dead cat bounce because if you think about dropping a cat from a third-story building, the joke is cats will always land on their feet, right? Well, at some point they won't, and they will just bounce off the pavement. I know it's very graphic. I did not invent that, but it's a reality that people use to describe charts. So it's as simple as that for the Sparklines. Okay, for the next video, we're going to look at daily average sales here. Now, I want to ask you something. How do we know which month has the best sales? Well, can we say if we have $100,000, let's just be simple, $100 for month one, and then month two, we also have $100. And you might say, well, they're equal. We performed the same way. Well, what if month one had 20 days where our business was open? And month two, because we had a lot of holidays, it was only open for 18 days that month. Would you still say that we performed equally? Well, let's take a look. Daily average sales takes the total sales divided by the number of selling days per month, okay, to get an average number of sales per day. Okay, so I'll just put that there. So in reality, while these two look similar, the second month performed a lot better. Okay, so that's what we call the concept of daily average sales. You can apply this to many different things. Okay, it could be monthly average sales if you're looking at an annual basis. You could just look at this as a territory. Let's say that I have a territory with 100 sales, and I've got 5 salespeople, and then I've got one here with 100 sales, but I've got 11 salespeople. Same kind of math. We're just dividing it out. We're getting a baseline going and dividing it out. So on average, I have $20 in sales per salesperson on average. But over here, I have $9. Now, as a business person, as a manager, you might say, what is going on over here in region B? Why am I paying twice as many people to get the same amount of sales? Does that make sense? Is there something intrinsic about that region that requires me to do that? Or do I have to let go of 6 salespeople because they're costing me way too much money? Because remember, these are the sales. That's not profit. Let's say the profit is, 50% of that, right? So let's say $10 in profit. Now let's just go right here with this. I know it's not the perfect number there, but just go with that. And that's our gross profit. Okay, gross profit. What's our operating profit? Let's just take 10% of that. So $1, 0.46. I'm just doing quick math here. Then we've got taxes on profit, all that kind of stuff. Um, cost of goods sold, it was factored in the gross profit. But then we've got lawyer fees, we've got accounting fees, we've got warehouse, which is in operating. And then we have a few other things here. And we're not even talking about tactical decision making here. But my point is, actually, operating profit would be a lot more expensive because of salaries. I mean, we're holding 6 people here to get the same amount of sales. So for whatever reason, even if we can defend it for why we have to have 6 more salespeople here, even if we could defend it, the fact still is we are less profitable because we have those 6 people, period. Okay? So it's called normalizing the data set. Okay? But we as business people call it daily average sales or breaking down the numbers, getting a baseline. Okay? So that's how that all works. What we're going to do here is we're going to do the same thing, but for simplicity, I'm just going to copy this down. Okay? And I'm wiping this out now. And I am simply going to take the sales number, so B4 divided by B2. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to lock in the row. Okay. And I'm just going to move this across. And then I double click the last one just to make sure it lined up right. So that's correct. That's all we did. Next, if I did my homework, if I did this right, we can go all the way down. So again, I like to check out the last one here. Make sure my formulas, my dollar sign was in the right spot. There we go. Your work is done here, folks. So now we can look and see, is there anything goofy? Like, would we have said, is there anything in here that is unreasonable? Like, look at this one here. Okay. This one smoked, $5,000 more when we had one extra selling day. But that translated into just $130 more per day in sales. Okay. So, and look at this one here. This is a great example. $51,000 in November on 22 selling days versus $50,000 on 21. Great example here. October actually performed better by $62. You see that there, folks? October performed better by $62, even though November had $1,000 more in sales. Okay? So you have to put that stuff into perspective. Okay? Here's another one right here. They're all over the place. Okay? How much better did one perform versus another one? Okay? That's what we're really after. Now, I'm going to tell you a quick story here. There's a professor on campus who bragged about doubling their program at a different school. So they said, "Hey, I'm a rock star because when I came and built that program, we went up 100%." And then I find out that person had 3 students in their program and they went to 6 students. And they got 100% growth and they were cheering and everybody was clapping. I'm like, you guys are all idiots. I don't mean to say idiot that much, but the fact is, if I have 160 students in my program and I double that, that's 320 students. Not that we don't value every student. My point here is sometimes we put metrics on things without thinking about it. Yeah, that's double growth and 3 students are treasured and fantastic. We're a teaching institution. We love to have students. That's our goal in life, is to teach students. But don't give me that. Don't go and pat yourself on the back when you grew by 100% when you only had 3 students to begin with. That is not significant in terms of the mathematics, in terms of the digestion of the data. Okay, so just keep that in mind there as well. Okay, in this video, we're going to continue with the concept of daily average. So what I'm going to do here is I'm simply going to copy this over. Okay, just as simple as that. Let's see, we'll go to 11. and I'll show you what happens. You'll say, Professor, you made a mistake. What are you doing? You don't know what you're teaching. How dare you make a mistake like this with the divide by zero errors? Well, first of all, because we don't have any numbers up here. Well, that's a simple thing to fix. Okay? And that's the other thing I'm trying to teach you folks. That's why we had the data cleaning before and we have the data inc ratio now, is you need to learn to get the data yourself sometimes. You need to figure out, oh, hey, I used that data in the previous problem and nothing's changed, so I probably can use that data again. It's asking me to do the same thing. So exactly. So what I want to do now is what's called a heat map. And you do that by going up to, first of all, highlight your data, highlight all of it. And we're just going to get rid of my little paint bucket tool there. So I did that paint bucket highlight. So I got rid of that. Now I want to go up to conditional formatting, and I want to go to color scales. And I want you to pick something you're comfortable with. Most people like hot and cold, things like that. But be careful here. When you decide this one, red actually is low. Okay, so sometimes we think of red as danger, right? Certainly in accounting, we have that conditional format where if the number is less than 0, put a pink text, right? Well, depending on your audience, red means good. It means hot. And blue means cold. So you have to learn what your company wants and expects. I've also worked for a company as a consultant where blue was their color and red was the enemy's color. Like red was the competition. So even though red means hot and good, they wanted blue to be good. I mean, it's stupid, right? But it is what it is. You have an audience, you have a customer base, your coworkers or decision makers that you have to respond to. This idea that you're the boss and you get to tell them what to do is wrong. We have to change that. It's a team environment. And many times, as I just said over here, in these two here, you are serving a decision maker. Okay, with this BI degree, and I know some of you are taking it as electives, you are assisting other people. Okay, you have to work together. Okay, so we're going back to conditional formatting, color scales. It doesn't really matter, but I do like, if you are colorblind or if your audience is colorblind, you don't really want to do these greens. Okay, it's really hard to see. So pick vibrant colors. So I'm going to go with this one here. Now, normally I don't, I say avoid the Sherbet My Little Pony color scheme, but all I'm doing here is just demonstrating to you. So I'm teaching you in this moment. Would I take this to a business meeting? No. I would probably take one that has 3 colors in it. Okay. Now you can customize this tool. You can create your own rules. You can set up your own 2-color system. You can do 3 colors. And you can change your range. Like the lowest value could be red, the highest value could be green. Like you could do all kinds of things in here, okay? But look how nasty that is. So you have to play with this a little bit. You can't just, mess around real quick with this. You got to think and strategize. Now I'm going to go with this. Red is hot, blue is cold. Okay. Now what I want to show you here is I highlighted everything, okay? Now this is critical. Is it fair to judge pancakes the same way we judge tea products? Is it fair? I would argue that in some circumstances it is not fair to judge it that way. What I mean by that is when I highlighted these color scale, this data to make color scales, in order to generate the color and the shades and all that stuff and assign it to each cell, it was judging all of the data. It wasn't just judging pancake against pancake. It wasn't just judging toast against toast. It was judging that $2,500 in tea against that $13,000 in pancakes to determine what color it should give that cell. Now, if you're the owner of this product category, all of these, it might be helpful to see it, but you should already know what your number 1 categories are. Like you shouldn't need your pancakes to be a whole red line compared to some of these others in order to know that. You can do all kinds of other things to get that data. So no, what I would recommend, and let's just see if this will work again. I'm just gonna see if I can copy this over. Yep, perfect. Actually, I lied. What did I do? Oh, I know. I skipped one. Don't you just love it when a plan breaks apart? Okay, there we go. Okay, so why is this wrong? Well, because I put all the references down there. So simply fix this. There is always the way to fix things in Excel. Okay, so now we're back to this. What I want to do is I want to remove the conditional formatting for this section. I'm just going to remove it. Hit delete. Okay, gone. I want to go back now and do this individually. So highlight each individual product category and do the color scales. Make sure you do the same color scale. Don't go and grab reds and greens for one row and then blues and yellows for the other row. Keep going, one after the other. Make sure you're doing the same ones because we want the numbers to reflect each other, but we want to evaluate everything on their own basis. Okay. There we go. So see how this isn't so hot anymore? Well, that's because we had some hot months over here with just evaluating this category. And look over here, we had some dogs, some blue ones over here. We never noticed that before when we had it all red because it was superior to the other product categories. So again, I want you to be thinking in this class. I want you to be thinking of strategy and tactics and alternative ways to display data. Okay, not just, oh, should I do a column chart instead of a pie chart? Sure, yes, I want you to consider those things. But I also want you to think about the interpretation of the data. That is paramount, okay? If you want to throw some sparklines in here, fine. But I wanted you to see the difference between these here. So for your application activity, I want you to redo this work, okay? So redo the work, just as I did it. You don't have to put your chicken scratch in here or ascending triangle stuff, but I want you to go through the steps of engineering what I just did.